You are now tuned in to Two Studs in a Pod with the dynamic duo of Blaze and Meech, a podcast giving you a candid glimpse into the world of super terrific Uber dykes, but you can call us studs. This week, we're taking a glance at relationships through the lens of growth and maturity and developing an appreciation for the dynamic ways we can love and be loved. Now let's get into it. Meech, drop the beat. Welcome back to Two Studs in a Pod, good people. You already know it's me, Blaze.
And the homie Meech.
This week, we're approaching the boundaries of amor from a different angle. This topic was too big to cover in one show, so we're breaking it down into a two-part episode filled with laughs and enlightenment on the many paths there are to love. But before we break it on down, let's give a quick shout out to our continuously growing Pod All the Time Network fam and the newest member of the team, the Heart Talk. Welcome, welcome. So, Meech, what's the haps with you this week?
This week has been stressful, man. Work is killing me. I thought that, I was breezing through it. But whenever I'm in the office, it's like people act like they forget how to use their computers. I mean, it's 2020, people. Like, you got to know where the start button is. Like, seriously, I'm sure. I don't care how old you are. You've been working in a business for like 20-something years. You don't know where the start button is. But yeah, they just been stressing me out with stupid stuff. Like I have big projects that I'm trying to work on ever since my coworker got laid off. And I can't focus on the projects when people can't figure out how to do shit that they've been doing daily for forever. So anyway, that's been work. But wifey came out this weekend with the kids. We were able to go on like a little quick outdoor hike, which was fun. The kids complained the whole time, but they needed some air being quarantined,
Yeah.
So it was fun, It was cool because it's nature and there weren't a lot of people around, so we were able to actually get out and breathe some fresh air and get some exercise in. Yeah, that was fun. That was like the highlight of the.
That's weird. I just don't, for whatever reason, equate New York with fresh air.
Yeah. We actually had to go upstate, so it was like an hour and 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
The part of New York that's Canada.
Yeah. Well, my week work's been a little stressful, but at the same time, I did start working out again, and cooking and doing all that good stuff that goes along with trying to be consistent with lifting again. So that's a good thing. Like, it feels good. I hate doing it when I'm doing it, but afterwards, like, I love that pain afterwards for whatever reason. Yeah. Yeah. So that's been pretty helpful with dealing with stress and mental, and just like blasting the music loud and moving, get to moving and stuff. Our little puppy had her surgery, so she's been a handful. I mean, after the surgery, baby to the utmost. So, and she can't like do a lot of things for the first 2 weeks. She got that cone on her head, so it's been a lot of adjustments because she wants to jump and play, and she's not allowed to. And we got the clearance to dig the hole. So
nice.
Mission hole in the ground is about to commence. So let's see. Let's see how this goes. Yeah. Man. I'll just keep looking at that space and I'm like, I could do this. But we shall see. But I mean, now that everything's opening back up, I'm really ready for the end of this thing. I just don't know if I'm ready to be running out there,
right?
For it to be open.
I'm not gonna be jumping into crowded spaces, but I'm ready for something to happen.
Yeah, I know. Like, I'm anxious to I don't know. Anxious is the wrong word, but I'm just ready for things to get back rolling. Like it's affected so much stuff, and it's just still going on and still crazy, and I just don't trust it, even though everything is opening up. So there you go. Yeah. But on a better note, joining us for this week's episode is Brooklyn Wright, who we will meet a little later. Right now, we're leading off with a segment affectionately named Poppin' Peas. And in this segment, we are celebrating our community by highlighting various masculine presented women of color that are making or have made moves and are making us seen. This week, we're shining the spotlight on a true trailblazer in the queer people of color movement. It is our honor to pop one for Jewel T. Williams. For those of you that don't know, Jewel opened what is considered as the first black LGBT club in Los Angeles back in 1973. She took it upon herself after facing endless discrimination from other bars in the area due to her appearance to create a space that was welcoming to all. In 2018, Ava DuVernay's distribution company, Array, and Netflix teamed up to release Jewel's Catch One, a documentary celebrating Jewel as a pioneer. Not only does it highlight the success that comes from persevering, this documentary reflects the importance of finding a place to belong and feeling safe. Timeless interviews and recollections from some of Hollywood's elite, including Janet Jackson, Whitney Houston, and Madonna, prove that Catch One was popping. Meech, have you ever are you familiar with Jewel T. Williams?
I have seen her name before, and I knew that she opened up one of the first Black LGBT clubs, but I had no idea there was a documentary on Netflix. So I definitely want to check that out. You know, I like to pay homage and actually do my research and know about people who paved the way for us. You know,
Yeah,
pretty dope.
that's why I found it interesting when I was looking for things to watch on Netflix, and
Hmm.
I came across that. And it's funny though because like I watched it without wifey. I watched it without wifey. So when we went to watch something on Netflix and it was under my account or whatever, it showed it shows Catch One, and that's all it shows. So she was like, "Catch One, what is this?" Like she thought it was like some kind of porno type of.
Oh Lord.
It's like Jewel catches one. Like, what is she catching? Like, she catching a nut. What are you watching? I'm like, this is Netflix, first of all. But yeah, so that was funny. But that's gonna do it for Poppin' Peas this week. We hope you enjoyed that little tidbit of information. We're not only ratchet, we have a little righteous in this as well.
A tad.
Yeah, it's just a tad. Um, Before we kick off our next segment, let's introduce our guest, Brooklyn Wright, who is the owner operator of Boy Society, which advocates for and celebrates queer and trans people of color. Brooklyn is an experienced entrepreneur, a knowledgeable investor, and unapologetically queer. Brooklyn, why don't you bless the listeners with your brand of hello?
I mean, I think you hit it. That was perfect. That is who I am in a nutshell. I'm just happy to be here.
We would like to say thank you for joining us first and foremost, and we do appreciate you joining us here on Two Studs in a Pod. Um, I guess we're going to break from our normal game plan because before we started recording, Brooklyn really put us on to some interesting information that we would like to talk about.
Yes,
So
sir.
this week we're going to be getting into relationships because I think we have all kinds of relationships going on the podcast today. So, I mean, as many of you guys know, Misha and I are I'm in a serious long-term relationship. She's in a new long-term relationship. But Brooklyn, I think you got us beat by far.
Yes, I have been with my wife for 20 years in July. It'll be 21 years this July coming up. And yeah, we got into it. Like in 21 years, you learn a lot about relationships and love. And it was funny because I mentioned I had been with my wife 21 years, and Blaze, your initial response was on and off.
Yeah,
Like straight through.
like 21 years straight through.
Which I thought that was super hilarious, as if we don't do straight through relationships. But no, of course, I think like anyone else, we have had some on and off. We have done some, we were together for 5 years, definitely did a breakup. We're together another 4 or 5 years and then split for a year and a half. And then got married. We've been married now for almost 10 years, and we did open our relationship up 2 years ago. And so that made it very interesting of a conversation, I guess.
Yes, because
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, just me being me and knowing how I am, the concept of, I mean, first of all, being with somebody for 21 years is like, even on and off, not straight, but like just that woman that's had your attention and your heart and all of your intention, you know what I'm saying? For 21 years, that's a lot because I think about my age and all of the women that I've experienced in my time, and I don't know. Until now, I couldn't foresee spending 21 years with anybody going on off and on. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of a
Yeah.
heart
My
stop there.
longest relationship was like 2 years. So my girl now is like counting down, like, damn, Corona doesn't count. I get to extra 8 months because we haven't seen each other in like 2 months. So yeah, that's wild. I can't imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I definitely didn't imagine it when we met when I was
Right.
17,
And how
right?
did you
Like,
guys meet? How did you meet?
we met online in a chat room in
Oh,
19 in 1999,
oh
right?
my God,
It
was it
was like,
AOL?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was actually it was called Sisters, so it was a chat
Oh,
room
okay,
for black lesbians.
okay.
And her name was Shorty Be Hot.
Oh my God, you remember the
Uh
name and everything?
of course, she still has that email to this day.
Oh
Oh
damn.
wow.
My name was Butch Queen.
Oh no.
We gonna let the we just gonna leave that there, but that is
Oh,
true.
oh no.
And we just like it was we just caught each other's attention and we started emailing back and forth. It was the senior year. I was in summer school right before my senior year in high school, and we had to exchange pictures in the mail. Like that's how long ago it
You mean
was.
like
Oh
mail
wow.
mail, like snail mail?
Snail mail. Like we had to
Oh,
send a picture in the mail. There was no like you couldn't send pictures on email at that time.
oh man.
So yeah, it was definitely a different time, but we bonded in a way that I don't think people get to bond now because the internet's so fast and things move so quickly. Like we used to watch movies on the phone. Like it was so long ago. We used to have calling cards because she lived out of town, so there was no long distance. You had to buy a calling card for long distance. Like that's
Damn.
how long ago the shit was. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, we like you said, we kept each other's attention. We bonded. We loved each other in a way that we didn't have the distractions of meeting each other, having other people around. Like we love talking to each other. We love spending time together, and we just didn't stop doing that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for real. I mean, obviously you love to hear it and you love to see it because people, yeah, U-Haul, you bring the U-Haul on the second date, but how often do you bring the U-Haul like in 3 weeks when you're, moving your stuff out too, So, um,
Totally.
yeah, it's it's kind of incredible to think about. So now you made it 21 years, and then were you always living where you live now, like on the
No,
West
no,
Coast?
no, no,
Oh,
no. So we're in California now. So when we met, I was in Delaware and she was in Nebraska.
oh my
Oh
God,
Uh,
that's
wow.
a culture shock
yeah.
for you, boy.
Tell me about it. I actually, she is older than me, so I graduated high school and then moved to Nebraska, and that was, we didn't even see each other face to face for our first 8 months, right? So like, Meech, you talking about you've been in a relationship 8 months, like we hadn't even met during that time, so we just talked on the phone, did our thing, whatever. And then once we met, it was like we were just kind of inseparable at that point. And so I moved to Nebraska, which we stayed there for 10 years. And then we
Wow.
moved to California, about what is it? My 30th birthday in 2011.
Damn,
Wow.
Nebraska. I can't
What
even
was
know
that like,
that.
right?
Yeah, Nebraska was dope. I used to throw big ass lesbian parties in Nebraska. So
That's
me and
cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
we used to have
yeah,
yeah, they had nothing else to do, so we was
right.
the
I'm like,
thing
you
to
would have
do.
to be the yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
we were the party. We'd have 250 people coming out and just partying and kicking it. So, I mean, I've always been good at building community and making a way for people to hang out. So yeah, I've always had fun no matter where I am.
That's yeah, that is dope. Like me said, Mish, how do you feel like hearing like as new as your relationship is, and then here against her 21 years and all that? Like, how do
Right.
you feel? You feel like you're just a baby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm new to this, but I'm not. I don't think, 10, even 5 years ago that I would have thought I could be in a relationship that long. But, I guess it's who you meet and when you meet them, right? Because now I feel like this relationship could last. So it's inspiring, I guess, to hear that, you were able to make it that long. Because, Blaze, your relationship is probably the longest lesbian relationship I know of that has made it. Because I know a lot of people that did the marriage thing and ended up getting divorced, or somebody ended up stepping out. So it's, I don't know, it's inspiring to know that, like, when it really works, when y'all really fit together, that it could last that long.
Yeah, and I mean it's not easy, right? It's a commitment.
Right.
It's just like, and I think historically she was a lot better at it than me. One, just
You think
because
it's
she was
because your age different?
well, one, yeah, because she was older, but two, her parents were together for 60 years, right? My
Oh
mom,
wow.
single mom, I had never, I didn't know what a good relationship looked like. And she's just built like that. Like my wife is fucking solid. Like, yeah, when you meet my wife, you'll know like she's one of the sweetest motherfuckers on the planet. But she's also just committed to doing things and doing things well. And I think that's really paid off for us,
What's
right?
her
Like
sign? What's her sign?
she's a Leo, but she's right on the cusp of Virgo.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know why it works, but I'm an Aries. I don't know. For some reason, it does work really well.
Fire
But it's
signs.
yeah, oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like
So when
we
y'all
can,
get into it, y'all getting into it, right?
woo,
Yeah.
Lord, we
Yeah.
can beef over breakfast, but
Yeah.
like, but we're also just really solid. Like both of us are extremely loyal. And I
Mhm.
think sometimes maybe loyal to a fault, right? Like if I ask her, I'm sure she, there's definitely times that we could have, should have possibly broken up. Um, but we've always just had each other's back, and it always seems to lead us back to each other no matter what. And I think now we've just gotten to a place that we're so comfortable just being two planets orbiting around the same sun, right? Like I think when you're in a younger relationship, y'all try to act like you're one planet or you try to merge those two lifestyles.
Mhm.
Now we just rolling, right? And like, yo, she orbits, I orbit. When we see each other, it's, hey, you sexy, right? And we
Right.
just keep orbiting and keep
Right.
going. Like,
Yeah, just trying not to crash into each other, right? And cause
that's it. That's
the
it.
big
And
bang.
give enough room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. That's kind of like how my partner and I are. Like, it took a while for us to get there and a little adjustment, especially on my end. But the same case. She's older than I am. She's more experienced in life, just period. Because I've been free. This free spirited person. I didn't have the responsibility of children or anything like that to like kind of tame me in that aspect. And so I've just been living my life. You know what I mean? And then here comes
For
this
sure.
grown ass woman that, had her was taking care of other people and responsible for them and knows how to do that. And it's just like bossy in her own right. And she's a Virgo and I'm an Aries. So, she kind of like, yes. She
All
keeps me
right. Maybe that
keeps me
works.
calm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that
So
works.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And like, again, like you said, like it took me, she was patient enough to just roll with me no matter what. And I think that is the thing that I couldn't let go of, right? Like,
especially with you being an entrepreneur, do you think that was like part of it? Because you weren't
yeah.
like such a steady income type person. I don't know, like a 9 to 5.
Well, I think she's always loved that. Like when we met, I was not an entrepreneur, right? Like when we met, I mean, I've always done entrepreneurship, right? Like I mean, when we met, it was just fun. Like so
Mhm.
I think I do keep it exciting. You know what I mean? In the fact that it's never you never quite know what you're gonna get, right?
Right.
And I think that kind of works for her,
Keep her
right?
on her
Like
toes, right?
Box of chocolates.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, we moved to California. A job wanted me to move out here and they were like, "Yeah, cool, you can come. I want you here, but I need you in 3 weeks."
Oh
right?
wow.
So in 3 weeks, I wrap her up, tie the dog and the cats. We're in a U-Haul, and we're shifting all the way across to California.
Oh my god.
Where so if you like excitement, I'm probably not the worst partner to have, right? But then again, too, I was in a motorcycle accident in 2016, and she had to watch me relearn how to walk, right? Like
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
she carried my wheelchair around from place to place to place.
Yeah.
And so, she's very solid, and she's also very nimble, I would have to say, because yeah, I do keep it flexible for sure.
I mean, like you said, it keeps it exciting. That's how you last for 21 years.
Right.
For
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And then I think also just being able to have her back too. She's a hip hop artist. She's a person who really likes to do her own thing and have her own identity. And so I've enjoyed watching her be different people. I think that's the thing that you learn about being, biologically, your body is different. All your cells in your body is different every 7 to 8 years. So I've literally seen her be three different people. You know what I mean? Her hair's been different, her heart's been different, the way she sees life been different. And so it took us a while to understand and really just appreciate the change, I think, in relationships.
Speaking of change, since you mentioned the open relationship situation, like how did that come about, and how is that?
It's it, oh, the open relationship thing is complicated, and I think I know, especially as studs and masculine identified folks, we see that as a opportunity, I think, to be frivolous as a lot of times, but it really is. It forces you to grow up in a way and really see how you are as a lover to different people, because what worked for my wife didn't at the time work for my girlfriend, right?
Mm.
And I think also it required me to swallow my pride too, and also understand that my wife would have her own needs with her
Mm-hmm.
girlfriend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times I think, we like to see that shit as if that's going to be a one-sided conversation.
Right.
But no,
Right.
like when she was upset and when her girlfriend upset her, like she brought that home. You know what I mean?
Right.
I could see that. And having to
How did that
just
make you feel though? Like when you could
fuck,
see
how
her
you
being
think?
so upset because of somebody else in that intimate type of way that somebody can make you upset that you care about.
Well, I mean, it sucked at the time. You know what I mean? Like, it is, again, it takes, I think open relationships take a level of maturity that we are just not used to. Like, you have to, it took, it took us, I think, it took us some time to really appreciate the fact that someone else can love your partner in that way,
Mm,
and that they can share a bond that is healthy for them, right? And that can be okay, and it doesn't take away any of the love that's there for you, right? And I think that because historically we've seen relationships as forms of possession,
mhm,
especially in black and brown communities,
mhm,
we don't know, that's not healthy. It's not healthy to own someone in that way. And so, yeah, I love that we do radical love. And we decide, we have control over when that relationship is open and when it isn't, and what those, you set your own rules and your own boundaries. And then you fuck it up. You fuck it up a few times. Let's just be real. You just mess it up sometimes. So I think it also takes a lot of forgiveness um, in order to do it right, period.
um, I mean, this sounds like we're asking you so many questions, but I'm just interested to know, like,
Yeah.
was the decision to go into an open relationship because you guys thought you might break up, and this was like an alternative to breaking up, so
I
that you.
think I think subconsciously it definitely might have been, right? Like I had just come out of my motorcycle accident. I really needed to get out into the world and kind of really
Mm,
discover myself. Keep in mind, I have been with the same woman since I was 17 years old.
mm-hmm,
Right
mm-hmm.
now, I am much older than that, and I don't even have a concept of what it looks like to be on my own or to really make other connections. Um, and so I think at the time it very well could have been, even though that was not necessarily the conversations that we were having. Um, and so it did not break us, however, surprisingly. I think it got close. It definitely got close. But I think it also just allowed us to see each other through different eyes again,
Mm.
too, right? And to understand how important our connection was to each other.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from. The point of like coming out of the accident. I didn't have something as quite as life threatening happen to me where I had to relearn everything, but I had to lose like a bunch of weight and things like that. And coming out of that, seeing myself in a different way, like I was cut up and I was just like looking different and attracting different kind of women. It just like did make me think I need to go get his body a test run and see, you know what I'm saying, what I could what I could do. And
Yeah.
I was in a relationship at the time, and that relationship took, the blows that it took, and it ended because I think behind that thought. But had I been older, maybe it would have been a different and more mature. Then maybe it would have been a different type of thing. But everything happens for a reason. I am where I am because it happened the way it happened. But at the same time, that was my. Now that I look back at it, I feel like that was that. Like I'm feeling myself now, and I want to go out and yeah, like meet new people and have a different. I have a different view on aspects of like relationships and my relationship that I was in at the time. Mish, have you had any experience along that?
Me?
In that realm? Yeah.
No, because I've never really been in a serious relationship like that, you know? So I just always kind of, I guess I'm the opposite of you guys. I've always been doing my own thing. So I've never really experienced what it's like to have somebody hold me down.
Mm-hmm.
Except for, my girl that I'm with now, which is like totally different from me, like I ended up having to leave, Miami on short notice. And I came back here and I felt like my life was in shambles. Like my family and everything is back here, so I still have my support system, but it wasn't what like the path that I had planned out for myself. All my goals that I had set, everything that I had in motion got thrown up in the air. And then I came here and like this woman that I met was like my peace,
Mm-hmm.
and she's been supportive since day one. And I like that was brand new to me, and that in all the, situationships, relationships, women that I've encountered, I've never really experienced that. Except my first girlfriend, who's my best friend now, but that's a different type of dynamic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But for her to be, a supportive partner in everything that I'm doing right now, and for it to be young, we're a little over a year into the relationship, and like I was saying, she teases like she only got like 9 to 11 months left or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But in the back of my mind, I'm like, nah, this is a keeper. Like I don't, you don't find women like that, or at least in my experience, that are there to support you, that are there to hold you down, that I could talk to about whatever. So to me, that's different. I'm on the other side of things, I guess, from you guys.
Well, no, I think that's very accurate, right? It's hard to build connections, especially as an adult and as we continue to build. I think I agree wholeheartedly. When you find someone that's really good for you, like you keep them, you hold on to them no matter what it takes. And you let it be what it is. Like even I think we're at such an elevated level now that I feel like a lot like Jada and Will, right? Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure you can call it marriage. Like it's such a partnership that no matter what happens, I know that motherfucker has my back and I have her back in return. And I do think that I got lucky. I found it at 17, but I think if you find it, no matter when you find it, you should hold on to that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Trust me, I know. That's why I went ahead and bought the
Snatch
ring
her up.
and all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. Like, put a ring on it and all that shit. Like, it was what it was because it was a different experience. It was a different feel to it altogether. Even though we did like sometimes similar things, when you're dating is dating. You go out to dinner, you go to do this, you do that, and in the gay community, you go to the club. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just part of it. And if you could find somebody to vibe with outside of those things on a consistent basis, and who you just feel like, to me, is like somebody who makes you feel like you need to level up because they
Right.
are already, like you got to get your shit together, or else you could lose her because she can do so much better than you. Better than you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it definitely gives you a reason to, right? Like, not that,
Yeah.
I was always the type of I love personal growth regardless. But this was a person that I knew I could share those things with, and that it wouldn't be taken for granted. There was nothing I could tell her that was super weird, right? Like, when I was 21 and, I like, she could go into the club. I couldn't go in the club when we met. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could tell her things about what I wanted to experience in life, and it wasn't weird. And she didn't shame me for it. And, I think that kind of partnership, friendship, relationship is just, I do think it's odd. It's or rare because I think people always, they don't have ulterior motives, but people just aren't as flexible, right? Like, they want what they want, and they're not always willing to see you outside of what fits in their little box.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with what you said. People have certain expectations, and if you don't fit in that box, then maybe you think a little different, or you have different ideas, or whatever it is. Not everybody's willing to accept that, um, or even willing to compromise with whatever it is. So I think when you find somebody, that's what made me hold on to my girl right now. Because I could, yeah, I have crazy thoughts. I'm always reading something crazy or coming up with new ideas. Like, I'm I'm always thinking, like, I'm always ready to try something different and always find ways to make money or to do something exciting. So it takes a lot to deal with a person like me. And I've been rejected so many times from past relationships, told that I was crazy, and you know what I mean, not really supported. So
What, and
that's
like your ideas
yeah.
for your
Yeah,
personal growth or something,
yeah,
things like
exactly, for
that?
my personal growth, because I believe in the signs, and I believe in reading and just educating myself and trying new things, trying to learn financial freedom, trying to learn whatever it is. If I'm interested in it, I'm gonna learn about it. But I never really been supported. Like, people look at me crazy, and they don't really understand where I'm coming from, or they don't even take the time to really understand what I'm saying, or even just listen.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what they say. They say you just got to find somebody who loves your weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she loved my weird, so I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll be right here. And again, because I was 17, I think I did take it for granted as when I was younger, right? I was like, oh, this happens all the time.
Oh
Right? And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's only because I was able to date other people and have other experiences that I'm like, oh shit, this shit's fucking rare. How about I get my fucking shit together and sit the fuck down somewhere? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
It is rare. It
yeah.
took me a long time to find it.
Yeah,
you
trust
know.
me. Yeah, trust me. I was there. And I mean, I just felt like I got lucky, definitely, and blessed, to be in the situation that I'm in, because I've had some past relationships that, oh shit, I still look at them like, what was I thinking?
Me too.
Yeah.
well, I feel like I'm grateful that I don't have any of the what was I thinking moments. I do also I feel like I've done pretty well. I find dope people. Even though it does not work out for us. And don't get me wrong, some of them were definitely quite weird.
Yeah.
But I appreciate their weird too. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're all just trying to figure it out. Life is fucking complicated. You
Yeah, there's no
know?
book,
Yes.
right? Like none of us know what we're
Yeah.
doing, really. Yeah.
It don't
And
come with a
and we don't
manual.
Yeah, and we don't always have the best teachers. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
Right.
we're
true.
picking up the bullshit that happened to moms. We're picking up the bullshit that happened to pops. Like, your grandma's telling you shit. Like, I think all of that matters. And
Mhm.
so I try to just give people the space. I'm a huge lover of just intimacy with people, right? Like, I love making connections with humans and loving people in general. And so yeah, I think we could just have more love in the world in general.
And on that note, we're going to end part 1 here. Be sure to join us next week when we continue the conversation on radical love. In the meantime, you can find us on IG and Twitter at Two Studs in a Pod. For a behind the scenes look at life beyond the pod, follow Meech on IG at the Homie Meech and on Twitter at Homie Meech. And myself, it's me Blaze at it's.me.blaze on IG and it's me Blaze 2 on Twitter. You can always hit us up on our socials or email with any question or comments at twostudsinapod@gmail.com. That's twostudsinapod@gmail.com. Two Studs in a Pod is streaming on major podcast platforms, including Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Radio Public, and Overcast. Gratitude is always an attitude, so we want to say thank you for lending us your ear.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.